Okay, I think that's us just gone 10, so I'll get us all started. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name's Zopash and I'm on the marketing team here at Bridgel. I just wanted to thank you all for joining us for this webinar all around bringing your data to life with Power BI. Just a couple of notes before we get started. So the session is being recorded and we'll be sending a copy of the recording out after the event. So if there's anything that you want to catch up on or if you want to share it with anybody, you can do. You're also on mute at the moment, you will notice, but we do encourage you to use the chat function to ask any questions and we'll do our best to get them answered throughout the session. We also have a kind of dedicated Q&A section at the end of the session where we'll answer most of the questions that you have. So without kind of rambling on about these kind of little things, I'll now pass you on to our team who will be leading the session today. So it's our Head of Analytics and Applications, Mark O'Donnell, and Senior Consultant Grant Redgate, who will be guiding you through the session. So I'll hand you over to Mark just now, and we hope you enjoy the session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Zopash, and good morning, everybody. I'm Mark O'Donnell, and I'm Head of Analytics and Applications, as Zopash just said. I've only been with Bridgel for less than a year, but I've been doing BI and all that kind of related stuff for the best part of 30 years, although sometimes I don't want to think about that. I'm joined by Grant, who's a senior consultant in my team, and he'll be taking you through some of the material and doing some demos a bit later. This is the agenda for today. We're focusing on Power BI, the best approaches to using it and what to look out for. We'll share our approach by looking at some simple data and how to ingest it. And then we'll show a quick demo of a solution we've built for a customer in the past. We'll also talk about how to approach the implementation of Power BI and then a little bit about what's new in the area. The agenda is deliberately high level and will inevitably pass over some fairly large areas quite quickly. If there's interest in any particular area, feel free to get in touch and we can discuss or perhaps target future material in that area. Okay, so I guess before we start, just a little bit of background about Bridgel and who we are and what we actually do. We're a software firm based in Glasgow. We have 44 staff at the moment, but that's growing all the time. We were established in 2002 and have just celebrated our kind of 20th year birthday with a very nice away day earlier this year. And what we do is we advise, implement and support technology solutions to help improve businesses. There are 4 key areas within Bridgel. The modern intelligent workplace, where the focus is on improving employee productivity and satisfaction. Managed IT service and support, which covers security, infrastructure and cloud services. Analytics and applications, which is my area. And there we support and develop large-scale bespoke software solutions and cover business intelligence and MI and data projects. And then finally, there's Trevi, our suite of product solutions focused on the water utility sector. We are a 10 times Microsoft Gold partner and a Microsoft Content Services Group preferred partner, one of only 26 worldwide. We are ISO 9001 and 27001 certified and hold the government-backed Cyber Essentials Plus certification. This is a selection of some of our customers across private and public sectors and across a number of industry verticals such as manufacturing, housing, national government, NHS, utilities and events. So that's really it with the intro. I think that at the moment, so I think throughout the presentation today, Zopash is going to put some polls up on the kind of Teams chat, just to find out a little bit more about the collective experience of people within the group here today. So if you could take some time just to perhaps answer those questions, that would be ideal. And now I'm going to hand over to Grant to let him take you through the next session.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. As Mark said, I'm Grant Redgate, senior consultant within the analytics team, and I've got around 10 years of data analytics. So just to start off with, sorry, let me just navigate back to the right slide. Sorry, just navigate. There we go. Before we start in with Power BI, we need to understand what is business intelligence, and how it evolved into modern BI, and how this is different to operational reporting. Operational reporting is a top-down approach generated from operational managers specifying predefined metrics to track. The goal is to monitor and track progress at the detailed operational level of the business. There's little to no interaction with the data, and the structure is fixed. Operational reports are updated frequently or are real-time to allow personnel to act timelessly according to the KPIs that are being tracked. Traditional BI, much like operational reports, is also a top-down approach, but it is from the perspective of business management. It also has fixed KPIs, predefined visuals, and insights. Traditional BI asks, how is the business performing, and batch processes the data when necessary. Typically, this is monthly or whatever the management team decides is a suitable period. Typically, usually has a long turnaround time to initially set up and answering any additional questions that the initial reports couldn't will involve IT. The main difference between operational reports, the main difference between operational reports and traditional BIs is that operational reports are updated frequently or real time to allow the operations to act according to what they're being monitored, whereas the traditional BI probes the data, but is inflexible and rigid in its approach to get insights, and batch processes the data, as I mentioned earlier. Modern BI is the new approach, and modern businesses are moving to or have already moved to a more dynamic and interactive way of exploring data. Modern BI reports are built from the ground up with enabling non-technical users in mind. Once the data models are set up, there requires very little technical knowledge to be able to investigate the data. Users can interact with the data, create ad hoc visuals, and slice and dice until they have the required insights, with the confidence that the insights they have are correct. What this does is it starts enabling business users to understand their own data and encourage them to interrogate the data themselves. The difference between reporting and analytics is reporting answers questions as what happened and how did we perform. It is presented through static reports, dashboards, or scorecards. Reporting tools are designed to efficiently display the data to users on a regular basis, making it easier for organizations to track the performance over time. Analytics, on the other hand, is a more dynamic and exploratory process that delves deep into data to uncover meaningful patterns, correlations, and insights. It goes beyond reporting by seeking to answer the why and how questions related to data trends. Analytics employs a wide range of techniques, including statistical analysis, data mining, machine learning, and advanced visualization tools. The output of analytics often includes actionable information, predictive models, and recommendations that inform strategic decision-making, making it a valuable tool for organizations looking to gain a competitive edge and drive innovation. Now that we have a better understanding of what business intelligence is, let's explore what Power BI is and how does it fit in with business intelligence. Power BI is a collection of software services, apps, and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated data sources into a coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. Power BI lets you easily connect to your data sources, visualize and discover what's important, and share the results. It is designed to bring the power of data to employees across the entire organization. It provides a wide range of interactive visualization like charts, graphs, and maps, allowing users to explore data from various angles and gain insights. Power BI can seamlessly connect to diverse data sources, including databases and cloud services, and enables users to transform and clean data for analysis. It offers real-time data analysis capabilities, vital for staying updated in fast-changing business environments. Additionally, Power BI promotes self-service analytics, empowering non-technical users to create reports and dashboards independently. With its intuitive interface, Power BI facilitates facilitates the creation of interactive visualizations and robust data analysis. It also emphasizes collaboration through secure sharing of reports and dashboards, enhancing teamwork and decision making. The mobile app ensures accessibility to insights on the go, enabling users to access interactive reports and dashboards from their mobile devices. As you can see, Power BI is ticking a lot of the modern BI boxes that I mentioned earlier. Moving over to the Power BI landscape, how do we typically go ahead with implementing a modern BI solution? In order to get insightful visuals and meaningful information for decision making, we need to take the data on a journey from raw data to a data model. While Power BI has capabilities to handle the full end-to-end data processing journey, there does exist a threshold where it makes sense. Depending on the complexity and size of the data, we may need to include additional tools to streamline the data processing. But Power BI is still the reporting interface, and nothing changes from the user's perspective. Power BI comprises of several components that constitute its reporting framework. But the three highlighted nodes are the primary areas of user interaction. The remaining components serve as the integral supporting features that contribute to Power BI's strength and capabilities, though they won't be the focus of this session. Referring back to the data journey, once the data model is developed, you would build out the report in the Power BI desktop. Once completed, you can then publish the report to the Power BI service, which is in the cloud and where you would share the report with other users. Finally, if there are any specific visuals, you can tailor make a mobile report to easily track key KPIs on the go with the Power BI mobile. Addressing several common challenges faced by organizations, Power BI offers effective solutions to streamline and enhance reporting and decision-making process. It tackles the time-consuming reporting processes by automating data retrieval and report generation, reducing the effort required for routine reporting tasks. It simplifies data extraction and consolidation from various sources, allowing users to create a cohesive data sets for more effective analysis. Power BI also ensures that timely data availability by offering real-time data connectivity and refresh options, enabling organizations to respond quickly to changing conditions. Lastly, it promotes a common KPI view by empowering users to create customized dashboards and reports with a unified set of key performance indicators, fostering alignment and consistency in decision-making. With these solutions, Power BI empowers organizations to harness the full potential of their data for more informed and timely decision-making. So next, I'll be taking you through a quick demo of simple ingestion, transformation, data model, and then just a few visuals. But before that, do we want to answer any questions?
Yeah, Durant, there is a question there in the chat from Fiona. It's a question about the semantic layer. She says really keen to know what the semantic layer is. Having said that, yeah, Microsoft have changed their mind a few times over the years. Don't know, do you want to say anything about semantic layers?
I don't have anything specific right now.
So I guess the semantic layer from a Power BI perspective is the kind of the data modeling aspect of Power BI, and you know there are various kind of techniques and ways of working with sort of data warehouse modeling, and across Power BI it's possible to actually use and share different models with a kind of publishing approach that allows users to kind of to see and kind of utilize different areas where the semantic model has been set up. So for example, you could have a semantic model related to finance, a data model that's where Power BI has got finance data kind of populated into it, and then you can publish that out in such a way that other users can consume and use that data within their reports. But it is contained within Power BI. It's not really something that can be shared across many of the tools. I think it's probably quite a lot actually we could talk about in there and talk about it for a while, or I could anyway. So I'll probably leave it at that, but we can maybe discuss something like that later on. But that's the only question at the moment. Grant, so if you want to go ahead, then feel free.
So what I'll do is I'll just quickly talk around the 4 key areas that I'll take you through in the demo. So what I'll be doing is just showing you how to ingest a CSV, Excel, and a folder with multiple contents within it. That being said, obviously there are a lot more data sources that Power BI can tackle, but just keeping it to the simple ones for the demo. I'll then just show how you transform it into useful data that we can then start creating data models with. And then I'll show you how to link the data with the relationships and create a DAX measure or two. And then finally, I'll just show you the drag and drop functionality within Power BI to quickly create some visuals. Great, so I'll just change my screen here. Just move that there. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Typically, whenever you open up Power BI, you'll get greeted with this blank screen. And the first thing that you'll want to do is you want to go get data. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create on get data, and we'll see that we've got a couple of common data sources. This is just the ones that Power BI suggests or is the most common ones. But if you want to click on anything more, there we can see that the full range of all the different data sources that we can interact with. So I'll start off with just the text CSV. Let's just go to a little demo thing here. And all you do is you just navigate to the file that is in question. No issues with this right now. We'll just load it. Okay, just give it a second. So as it's doing that, I can't click on anything more. We'll just give that a little second to download. Okay. So now we can see that the data source that we ingested is now sitting there and ready to work with. We can go ahead and start transforming the data, but before we do that, let's just go ahead and ingest the other sources. So that was the CSV that I selected. Next, going on to an Excel workbook. What we will see here is a slightly different interface where we can actually see each of the tabs within the Excel model. So we can go ahead and click on the specific tables, or we could have just selected the whole Excel. Okay, so let's just load that. That should be fairly quick. Sorry, I do want to correct what I said earlier. That tab at the top that said product table, that was a table within the Excel. That's not, it wasn't the whole Excel spreadsheet. And then finally, if we click on folder, we can now ingest all of the CSVs that are sitting within a folder. And what this does is it gets appended to one source, to one table. Just need to find it now. International. So all you need to do is navigate to that folder. We just load. Don't think that was done correctly. Let me just have it confirm here. Sorry. Let me just do that one again for you guys. Delete from model. What I needed to do was click on combine and load. There we go. Cool. So I just want to show you what that folder looks like. So we've got 6 different CSVs, and what this is just the sales data for each of the other countries. And what we'll see here once it's processed is we'll see one table that just has appended all the different CSVs under one table within Power BI. Okay, so let's have a look at what the error is. Okay, so I know what the error is. The error is complaining that the zip file is in the wrong data type. So we'll just go ahead and remove this grouping here. And then we'll go ahead and start processing the data. So let's just start off with sales. Sales looks okay. There's not much to fix in this table. So we'll just move on to Geo. Geo is a little bit interesting. What we can see in the CSV or the Excel that was pulled through is we had a couple of rows that are just not meaningful, and we want to navigate down to this row 3. So what we can do is we can just remove the top X rows. So let's go top 2. And then what we can do is simply just say promote that as the header, and then we've got what we need. Next, we've got city, but city is concatenated with a whole bunch of other data that we can see that's already within the other column. So we need to try split this out. This is very simple. We just need to go right click, split by delimiter. And we want to do it for each occurrence that it happens. Now we've got city. So we can just quickly change this back to just city. And we don't want these columns. Remove columns. Okay. I think that one's fine. Nothing to sort out further there. On the manufacturer, we can see that we've kind of got what we need over here, but it's in the wrong sort of configuration. So what we would need to do here is just transpose the data. So if we just navigate to transform, transpose, go back to home, and then promote the table, we can see we've got other columns here that are just not meaningful. So we're just going to go here, click shift, and we can quickly select multiple tables without having to click each one. Now, instead of saying remove columns, we can actually say remove other columns. In this case, it didn't really make a difference, but sometimes they can save quite a bit of time. I just want to make sure that's perfect. Happy with that. Same as this one, we're just going to promote, make that first row our header row. And then we've got an interesting one here where what we needed this to do is go populate mix all the way down until rural and populate that all the way down until the next time there's a value. So what we want to do here is we want to click on fill. So we want to fill it down. Nice simple way of just dragging that all the way down without having to add any extra complicated data transformation. But then we can see something interesting here. So in revenue, we can see that we've just got the value, which is perfect. But here in product, we've got USD and the price. So let's rather just split this out. We'll call this currency. And we'll call this, I'm going to assume that this is unit price. And there we go. international sales. So now the trick with this is we've just ingested all the data. So we can see that this all now sits in one table, but we actually want international sales and sales to be under the same table. So what we should do over here is go to sales. We'll need to create a new custom column, and all we're just going to do here is USA. Need to just put in quotation marks. I'll just call this country. Great. Now if we go back here, we've got country. Sales has got country. Got product ID, date, zip, units, revenue. Products. So what we can do is get rid of the source. We don't need that. And that's the same number of columns. Happy. So now if you go sales, we can now simply append the other table on top of this table. There. And just simply select international sales. And now we should see all the data now is under the sales table. So what I typically do is I create a new group, and I just have a support section, and then I just hide international sales. I don't want to see it. These are the tables that I'm going to be working with. Great. So what we do is once we're happy with that, we close and apply.
So Grant, just a quick question about that. You've made a lot of changes there.
Yeah.
One of the questions in the chat was, are these changes permanent?
I'll go back and
say
show
a bit about that?
Yeah, no problem. So just quickly waiting for this to load. So just to answer the question before I show it, no, it is not permanent. And what's quite great about Power BI is that you can very easily track the steps that you've done, and you can actually play around with just drag and dropping the different steps to which order the different steps need to be applied. So this is not, the data does not exist in a very flat permanent state. The raw data that you've ingested, the Power Query remembers each of the transformation steps that you've applied. So at any point, you can just go back to a stage, change whatever transformation logic you've applied to that step, alter a variable, change the value, whatever you want. You can even completely remove that step, and all the subsequent steps will be applied. So I just need to fix those errors. It's typically a data type issue. Let me just show what I was talking about there. So if I go here, all the steps that I've done, and what I can do is I can click on each of the different steps, and I can see what the data looked like as I was navigating through until I get back to my final step. So let's just go here and just fix the zip issue. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just change type, and we're just going to call this text. That's going to fix the one issue, because if we look down in here, there's going to be data types, zips that are got letters in it, and the reason it's erroring is because it's stated this zip, this column as a number, and it's purely based that on the sample table or sample rows that it's selected. So when it expands it to the subsequent lines, it errors out. Just go back to text. That should be fine, and that should be fine. Okay, so let's just get rid of this. The group. Okay. Hopefully that fixes the issue.
And so just to add to that, Grant, I guess, and to make it clear, what's happening is when you get to this stage, what's happening now is the data is being loaded from the file at this point in time, and what it's doing, what Power Query, which is a tool Grant was just using, was doing, is it's actually following all those steps now the transformation steps to build the model within Power BI. So there's no changes being made to the actual underlying files that Grant showed you. And if those files are then subsequently updated, the next time you load, the same steps will be applied to those same files. So as long as those files remain in the same format, they will come in the same way, but new data can be included via that method.
Yeah, and just adding to the powerful option of ingesting the whole folder. If you add a new country with the CSV, it will just ingest it and add the whole extra CSV as extra rows in that table. So adding a whole CSV, extra lines. If you go to the other CSVs and Excels, you just add or change data there. That's fine. The only caveat to that would be, I need to see what those errors are, but the only caveat would be if you change any structure, so column names, adding columns is okay because they will just appear. But if you remove columns, you will see that a bunch of the logic that you would have included to transform your data potentially could break. Let's just quickly see what the error is. Sorry about this.
Another question there, Grant, about where's the data stored when it's actually ingested?
Depending, so you've got two options with Power BI and how you want to ingest the data. You can have direct query, or you import the data. So right now, within this Power BI desktop, we are ingesting the data, and the data is stored within this Power BI report. So that's where I mentioned earlier, while Power BI can handle the end-to-end process, there's a certain threshold where if the data starts getting too big, that this report, you potentially are trying to share a 6 gig report, which is not manageable. And as you can see, there's different steps that you start adding. As you start adding more and more complicated processes, that's a transformation step that needs to happen that consumes processing power. Okay, so what is the error, the zip code? Okay. Couldn't convert to a number. I'm trying to. Oh, it's this. There we go. Okay. So that should fix the issue. That's looking promising. All right, so what I want to show you now is we've now ingested the data. We've transformed it into a state that is ready to start creating relationships. But there's an issue that I want to show you when we get to that point and how we resolve that. Well, resolve it within the context of Power BI. And then the great thing about this is it might take a little while to ingest this data initially, but once it's in the data model, interacting with the visuals, you won't have to wait for this processing time again. So typically what you would have with these kind of reports is you would have them running after hours when no one's actually actively using the reports. But once the data is in the reports, the data model is really efficient and quick with the slicing and filtering. Okay, let me just move on to the how I want to highlight the issue with the zip codes. So what we can do here is we've got manufacturer, and it's automatically linked the relationship for us between manufacturer ID in manufacturer and product. And then within sales, we want to link product ID with product. Now I want to highlight that there's a little arrow that goes in one direction. And what this means is if you have a selection from the sales table, it's not going to filter back in the opposite direction. It's only going to filter from product down to sales. So what you would need to do here is just make sure that the filter applies in both directions. And the same for here. And then geo, and then this is what I want to highlight. In the location table, we've got zip, but if we link zip to zip, we're going to have a very unideal or not ideal many-to-many relationship. And the reason is that we have zip codes that potentially are the same, but the countries are different. So now we need to apply a very clever method of creating a unique identifier between these two different tables. Because if we try to report on this right now, the data that's going to be sitting in the different locations are just not going to be correct, and it's going to be applying the same instance multiple times, and the data is just not accurate, and we know it's not going to be accurate, so we're not comfortable with that. So let's just go ahead and fix that issue. And while we're in there, let's just see if we can identify what the error is. So if I go to geo, a typical way of doing this is we just go, we just add a new column, add custom column, and I try to be quite specific with what this is. So it's the country zip ID, and this is country and just have that. I don't know why I did that, sorry. And zip. I think that works, perfect. Okay. So now I've got an identifier that's the country and the zip, and let's just do the same thing in, where was it? Yeah. Add custom column, country, zip, ID, country, and zip. Right. And then I believe the error will still be, yeah, not sure what the error is. So what I'll do is I'll just load this, but then I'll bring up the one that I've already made prior to this, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So while that's loading, I'm just going to bring up the one that I created earlier. And we can see here where I've created the country zip ID, and that now links to each other. And then what we want to do is we actually want to go ahead and start making visuals. So I've gone ahead and made visuals here already, but let's just quickly make some on the fly. So what we've got is we've got a whole range of different visualizations within Power BI that we can work with. So let's just take the stock standard cluster charts. And what we want to do is we want to go and see what the revenue is by date. So now date's a bit of a messy table. So we want to do something better than seeing it with this much granularity. Potentially want to just drill down to the month level. So what I've done is I've pre-created a measure table that's based off date. Now, if I click on date, I've hard-coded the value, but we can make this very dynamic. We could go ahead and find the minimum dates within the different tables, and so that we don't have to constantly keep maintaining this. But for now, I've just chosen between 2000 and 2024 and just pre-selected that. And what that gives us the opportunity to do is then we have a date table. Now, it's always good practice to have a date date dimension and able to just aggregate the dates and have different granularities. But the other benefit is that we have the hierarchy, which we can see here, where we can actually navigate to the different years and months. So if I drill up, I can just drill to 2014 all the way to 2021. And then if I want to just navigate to each period like that. And then the other nice drill down functionality is we can go ahead and click on 2017, and then we only see the months for 2017. And then if you had further granularities, you could just keep clicking. Oh, I can. So if I clicked on that month, it's all the days within that month. So let's just navigate back up here. And then I'm going to select year month. And now what year month is, it's just a DAX model. So a column that I've created on top of the date table. And it's simply just this function of saying start of month, date of date. I'm going to grab that and pull that in there. And I'm going to not have a hierarchy and just show it like that for now. I'll lie. Just keep that there. Take that out. Take that out. Okay. Cool. So now we want to be able to filter it by something. So let's bring in a slicer. So we've got slicers over here. And what this is, it's simply just a navigation tool. I want to see a certain thing by a certain criteria. So if I go here and I click manufacturer, I can select multiple manufacturers as long as it has associated data. And I can see the revenue for those manufacturers in the different years. Now, within the manufacturing table, we've got this logo column. Now, what's interesting about that is it's set up in such a way that we can actually pull the URL logo ID. So if I take here and I actually pull in logo instead, and just change this, tiles. So instead of just seeing names, I could actually just click on the actual icons for the different manufacturers. Now I want to see it for a specific date range. I can go ahead and go, let's create another slider here. And I want to include dates. And I want to be able to select it. So I have now got this scroll or slide over here where I can navigate my start date and end date, and it will change the graph accordingly. And then if you want to just add a few extra visuals, so let's find out what the unit price is for each of the different years. So we can go in here and create a measure. So I'm going to create a new measure so I can show you how it works. Unit price, and we can say sum of revenue. And I want to point out one thing. So what's quite nice is it's prompting you with possible fields that you can select. So you don't have to remember what every field was called. And we just divide that by count of product ID, and we want to grab it from the sales table. Great. So I want to now add this as a line graph on top of here, but I've selected the wrong chart. So what I want to do is I want to change it to this chart. And what's nice is I can actively change it between the different visuals. And if it's possible, it will generate and change it on the fly without having to keep changing what fields I've selected here. So if I go here and let's create my new unit measure that I created and add it on the line axis. I can now see what the unit price is for the different years and how that affected the revenue. So it's a little bit unreadable, so let's just add a final thing of data labels. And now we've got a fairly usable graph. We've got a date slicer, and we can actually change between the different manufacturers. And if we want, we can even break it down by the different countries. So one final thing to close out the demo. You can just copy the visual, as simple as that. Let's just drag that up, drag that down. I don't want to see it by year anymore. I want to see it by let's just choose the correct thing, choose it by country. And now I can see the exact same thing as above, but now it's broken down by country, and it's still remembering what the filters were selected prior. Great, and that concludes the demo for the simple how to ingest all the way up to visualizations for Power BI. I'll hand it back to Mark for his section.
Thanks, Grant. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm just kind of, obviously we're sort of running out of time, so I'll very kind of quickly take you through the kind of bits we had planned, but I'll try and do it as quickly as possible. So hopefully you can see the governance and best practice slide there now. So very quickly, what I wanted to kind of talk you through was just about how do you approach actually rolling this out in your organization? What do you want to, so with the idea being that what do you want to actually accomplish? Most people want to get towards kind of self-service analytics. So with that in mind, I just wanted to go through the kind of key stages. I'm going to go through these quite quickly because I've only really got kind of 10 minutes left. Kind of run over time a wee bit. So I think Zopash has put another poll up as well, actually. So if you could fill that out, that would be ideal too. So you've learned a bit about what Power BI does, which is good and probably the main purpose of the demo. But really what I wanted to just mention here is that it's really how do you actually make a Power BI project work, and how would you roll it out within your organization? It's a critical step to consider because you want to get the best value out of your investment. It's easy to get attracted by all the kind of shiny stuff that Grant's just shown you, but at the end of the day, this is still a tool that needs to be rolled out and has to work across your organization. So this is the kind of approach that we am I not sharing the right slide?
No, the slide's shown up fine for me.
Okay, I'll just kind of keep going. I don't know what's happened there. I'll just try switching it and switching back. All right, so a few people look like they're seeing slide one. I don't know what's going on. Let me let me kill it and I'll share it again just to see what's happening. Hang on a second. Apologies about this. There's a bit of a mix of things going on here. So I'll just share it right from scratch again. Hang on a second. Right, so I think that's me put slide one now again.
That's 21 now for me.
Let me just jump to slide 21. Has everybody seen 21?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, so right, awesome. I'm just going to keep going. Perfect. Right, so these are the kind of three approaches that we can recommend taking when you actually approach a project to roll out Power BI. So envision, onboard, and drive value. Based on the Microsoft approach over the last few years, it kind of works reasonably well, and it's a good way to take it. So really, what you're trying to do is, it's all well and good creating great looking reports and dashboards, but how are you going to go from that to being Power BI being the reporting tool of choice, how are you going to prize fingers away from Excel, which is always the challenge we have in this space, and get people working with a different tool set. It is worth thinking about this stuff before you get going. But the kind of key points here are about having an exec sponsor. As with any real, any project, really, you should have one of them if you want to make it work. And then building a kind of team round about the people in your organisation who can see and understand what the data is, and thinking about, at this point, you really want to sort of consider, stumbling blocks. What am I not going to be able to do? What can Excel do that I can't address? And then really what you're trying to do out of this is you're trying to create a proof of concept. You're trying to sell Power BI. You're trying to get it into the organisation and make people understand what it could possibly deliver, particularly that exec sponsor at this stage. And then you're trying to kind of map out a path of proven value, really. What does it look like and where are you kind of headed? After that, it's about understanding the next stage. So identify a candidate project. What are you going to go off and look at? Finance reporting or HR reporting? Really, ideally, start with something, the simplest area you can. Don't go straight after the complex one. If it's simple and it's across the organisation, you're going to prove value more quickly than if it's something niche. The most common problem that we always face with any of these projects is always data quality. So you need to get on top of that and you need to start looking at it early. It can be a bit of a surprise to a lot of people that when they actually pull data together from across the organisation, it doesn't quite all fit. And you need to think about that. And there's different ways and different approaches from, are you just going to fix it at the reporting level all the way through to, full MDM and data governance and all the controls that you can put in around about this in an organisation. But it's really a critical success. We regard it as a critical success factor for a BI project, because if you don't get the data right, you're going to spend most of your time just answering those queries about why does this not work and why are the numbers not right. And then, from there, you're kind of building your project team, selecting a project, and then you actually kind of do the easy bit of actually implementing the project. Once that's kind of been a success, you're moving on to, well, how do I get value out of this? And this is the bit that kind of a lot of people get stuck at. If you're asking people to change the ways of working, you need to kind of support them. And one of the ways that we recommend doing that is with a centre of excellence thing. But it's about getting the word out within your organisation, building communities and building a centre of excellence around about it. You want people to be supporting other people. You don't really want it to be, come to IT and try and request reports. And that cultural shift can actually be quite hard. So putting time into thinking about this and putting time into actually building a kind of workable product round about it is actually probably the best kind of approach to take. So that's really all I wanted to kind of say, and I have gone through that very quickly. I can take an hour just to talk about these 3 slides. So please follow up with me if there's any interest in any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to hand back to Grant for a very quick demo, hopefully, Grant, of some kind of reporting that we've done. But yeah, over to you, Grant.
Cool, thanks, Mark. Conscious of time, so I'll just quickly go through this. So this is an example report of what we've built for a client. So this is what it looks like in Power BI Desktop, but I've gone ahead and published it to the cloud service, so you can have a look at what that looks like. So when you publish it, just go here, and then it's in the cloud. It gets rid of all the other tabs, so you are only looking at it from a reporting perspective. So what we created for them was just an HR report. We've got a summary table, turnover, leaver, recoupment, and ER cases, which is disciplinaries, etc. So on a high level, we can get an idea of what our joiners and leavers are, males to females. We can, as I showed before, we can change the date filter. I've provided extra sort of detail on the reports where we can see what the ranges of salaries. There's extra features of zooming in if there's a specific area on a graph that you want to navigate to. We've also got some sort of exception reporting built on top of this. We can see there's employees that don't have a department. So very easily, very quickly, you'll see, oh, there's an error. Go ahead and try fix that in the data. And then as we go through, we've just gone through the different levels. So the summary is a more high level. We've now focused specifically on just the turnovers. And then they can, this is all based on what they wanted to see. So if we go into the leaver details, we can see what the different leave reasons are, what are the different leave types. So how much was involuntary versus voluntary. And then we can see of the leavers, headcounts, and what were the average salaries, etc. What is the recruitment process? Where are we at the moment? 690 have been appointed within this time period. And this is where other people are sitting at the different stages. And then finally, we've just got the ER cases for them to track what are their grievances and disciplinaries looking like. And of the different cases, how were they tracking in the different months as they were moving through the different stages of the ER cases. So on a very high level, this is a nice sort of example of what reports could look like at the end of the day. But I am conscious of time, so Mark, I'll hand it back over to you. And if there's any questions, please do ask.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Sorry, I'm just sharing the slide deck again. And hopefully find the right slide this time. Yeah, that was just a very quick demo of something we've done for a food and drink sector there. I'm very quickly, I've really got 2 slides to talk about here left. Microsoft Fabric, it would be remiss of me not to talk about that. That's the kind of biggest thing that's hit the Power BI area in the last few years. And everyone's probably, if you've been using Power BI, you've probably seen all of the logos change, and when you log into Power BI, it's probably saying Fabric now. You're probably thinking, what's all that about? Microsoft Fabric's a new service from Microsoft. It's still public preview and not fully production, but available to play with. It's a SaaS service. It pulls together all aspects of a data platform into one place and brings it under a kind of SaaS umbrella, which has been slightly different. It contains tools to source, store, understand, manipulate, and report all in one place, and allows you to store your data once from where you can make it available to everything. It also adds some new AI feature services like Copilot for Power BI, which is quite a nice thing to play with. But it allows you to capture data, store, manipulate, change before offering it up to reports, all without leaving that Fabric environment. It's one place to do everything. And it allows you to do it all without worrying about the actual data engineering behind connecting different environments and technologies together. It's not entirely new. Everything that is in Fabric we've been able to do for quite a long time using the Azure stack of tools like Azure Synapse and Data Factory, and of course Power BI. But Fabric pulls them all together into one nice place to be, and it makes it really easy and really seamless to do this. It's a really impressive kind of product in terms of delivering value. But it also has some improvements. It takes everything to the next level. So performance is better governance within it. You can do end-to-end governance and security across it. So really nice and really good. One of the things, I was at a conference on Friday there, and one of the things someone said was that a good way to think about it is that Power BI is to Fabric what Excel is to Office 365. So Excel used to be a standalone tool. But has been sort of incorporated into Office, and as a result of that, you get a lot of extra kind of capability, through kind of OneDrive and all that kind of stuff. It's the same here for Power BI. Power BI has been incorporated into Fabric, and as a result, you get a benefit of the kind of infrastructure. Undoubtedly, this is going to become one of the most important platforms in the whole BI space over the next couple of years. Pricing and sizing probably need to be considered carefully. It probably sits at the larger end of the implementation spectrum, but again, it probably remains to be seen, to be honest with you. If anybody wants to talk about Fabric, I'll talk about it in more detail, then please reach out. Happy to discuss as always. And then finally, I just wanted to do a little bit on licensing. Power BI licensing is actually kind of straightforward, and then Fabric's come along and changed a lot of that again, but I'm only going to talk about Power BI licensing right now. Fabric's something different. So there's 3 main components to Power BI. Power BI Pro is also included within the Microsoft 365 E5 bundles. So you might actually have it if you've already got Microsoft 365 E5, and you can upgrade that to premium and whatnot. But anyway, there's 3 different types. So desktop, that's the thing where you basically take it, install it locally, and then you just use the power of your laptop or PC to actually do stuff. So you can connect to most data sources, and you can actually save the work that you're doing in a data file, which is just like a file that you save on your hard drive or SharePoint or whatever, and you can share that to other users and they can open it within desktop. You can publish that to desktop in the free version. You can actually publish it to a web portal, but you can't really do anything with it. So you can publish the web portal and you can refresh it and you can look at it, but you can't share it with anybody. The only way of sharing with the free version is to basically, take that file that you can save off in it and actually send it via email or save it to a LAN drive or something. Desktop doesn't really have much in the way of limitations to it, but once you publish it to that portal, you can't really do much with it. You're limited in terms of the size and the number of refreshes you can perform. And that's why then we've got the next 2 licenses up, which are Pro. Pro allows you to share content with other users. Typical usage pattern really for all this stuff is that you use desktop to develop it and then you publish it out to the Power BI service. You need Pro licenses if you really, for each user who wants to kind of access content, if it's being shared content. And then finally, you've got Premium, and the Premium part comes in 2 kind of main areas. So you've got Premium per user, which is a shared service where you're just renting capacity. And it's a shared service, so there are some limitations. So for example, you're limited to something like 48 refreshes per day, whereas for Pro you can only do 8 for Pro. It's for Premium 48. Or you can take Premium capacity, and Premium capacity is a bit like buying your own reserved kind of capacity on the Azure stack. So you pay one fixed amount per month, which is something like 4,000 for the kind of £4,000 for the entry level capacity, and you can buy bigger capacities. And on that capacity, you can put all your users. So it's not a kind of price per user; it's just a price for the capacity. And depending on your workloads and what you want to do, there are pros and cons of using each of those different things. Premium mostly adds support for kind of bigger models and more data and more refreshes, but it also adds some functionality kind of benefits. So there's some AI tools within Power BI that you can use, and there are some concepts around about data flows and data marts where you can actually use Power BI to do some of the ETL kind of processing that you might traditionally do via data engineering. So yeah, those are the kind of main differences. Again, very quick. But yeah, Pro costs about £8 per user per month, and Premium costs about £16 per user per month. The prices are there on the kind of slides, but it can be tricky deciding exactly what capacity is the best capacity for you. So if you need help or advice, then yeah, give us a call. Okay, I think that's really all the slides I had to go through. So I know I've run over a wee bit. Apologies for that. Sometimes you get lost in the kind of the enjoyable parts and maybe don't go through the slides quite as quickly. But yeah, MD, got any questions? Just have a quick look at the chat there. Where is data? I was just looking. Where is data stored? So from a Power BI perspective, I guess the data is stored within depending on how you deploy it, there's a number of deployment methods. So from a Power BI perspective, what you're doing, ingesting data into the model mostly, and that is stored within Power BI. Now that would be stored within the actual Power BI service that you've got a capacity for, and there are limits on the size of that model. If you go over the largest size of the model, then you get throttled and it will stop working for you. The data itself, obviously the source files, etc., have to come from somewhere. They can be in your Microsoft 365 tenant or other places, but the data itself is stored within the Power BI service. Okay, I think most people are actually starting to drop off now. So yeah, thanks everybody for your time and attention. and hopefully answered your questions. But if not, then please feel to drop me an email or reach out. And as Zopash was saying, a copy of the slides and the recording will be sent out in the very near future.
Yeah, that's no problem. What I'll do really quickly then is I'll just wrap up. I can see people are dropping off as well for other sessions or any other meetings and stuff they have. So I just like to thank Mark and Grant for a really informative presentation. We want to thank you as well for joining us on the session today. We hope you found it useful. Sorry it was a bit rushed at the end there, but we will be sending out a copy of the slides and the recording so you can catch up, or obviously we encourage you to get in touch with us as well if there's anything that you couldn't ask on the call. In the meantime, I'll put in some details in the chat about how you can contact us, and we'll be sending you the follow-up. We also have an event coming up in November around Microsoft Teams telephony, so if that's something that you might be interested in for your organisation, please do have a look at our Eventbrite page. But I'll just stop off there, but thank you so much, and we'll hopefully see you at the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.